Thank you, Dr. Leahy and IPA staff. I'm extremely grateful to be included in the likes of such amazing Ignite speakers. How about a round of applause for them? IPA friends, good morning! It's truly an honor and a pleasure to be with all of you on the heels of what has proven to be another awesome IPA annual conference. I consider myself extremely fortunate yet humbled to have been recognized as this year's Illinois Elementary Principal of the Year. Although I am truly honored and beyond grateful, I found myself questioning, why me? Over the past 6 months, I've tried to make sense of why I was selected. As my beautiful wife would be happy to tell you, there is nothing at all special about Dr. Michael Merritt. That just happens to be one of the few issues we disagree on. But in all seriousness, the rationale that continues to resonate with me is living my legacy. Over the next few minutes, I want to share with you how I use my why, my core purpose, to guide me through each day in hopes of living my legacy of a career focused on service and relationships. As a high school senior, I abruptly decided to forego my childhood goal of becoming an auto mechanic and race car driver to pursue a career in physical education. I decided this for 2 reasons, which originally served as my why. One, I love sports, and I had a physical education teacher who inspired me and suggested I become an educator. I'll never forget how Mr. Austin worked to make physical education fun for each of his learners, even those who didn't care as much to participate. The way he approached every interaction led us to realize he cared more about us as people than what we learned about athletics. The other reason, my grandfather, Bob Mace. Like I'm sure many of you do, I consider my grandpa my hero. Not because he did anything heroic, but because he worked so hard from very humble beginnings to provide for his family. He had to overcome challenges from an early time in his life when a tragic accident as a toddler resulted in the loss of his right eye. What I learned most from him was no matter the hurdles you may encounter in life, face them head on and do it while keeping a smile on your face. What he modeled, I try to emulate each day, was the art of relationship building. Every stranger he encountered became a new friend. Due to his impairment, he always tried to find ways he could serve others to help make their struggles easier to bear. Each day I encountered challenges, some more difficult than others, but at the end of the day, if I know I did my best to address each of those challenges, all with a smile on my face, while finding the good in every person that I work to serve, then I consider that a successful day. Both Mr. Austin and my grandpa inspired me at such a young age, and I consider it my charge to pay it forward, attempting to live my legacy the way they lived theirs. On April 16, 2007, my why changed again. It was on that day that Caleb, my first child, was born. I'll never forget holding him in my hands and the rush of a love I never felt before sunk in. Just 3 years later, my daughter Sarah was born. You know what they say about a dad and a daughter? Yes, she has daddy wrapped around her little finger. My why as a leader now revolves around them. As I walk through the doors of Gardner Elementary School every morning, I lead under the premise of the Caleb and Sarah test. If it's not good enough for Caleb and Sarah, then it's not good enough for the 180 learners we serve each day. And if it's not, we owe it to our families to make it better. Not only do I want to leave a legacy with my own children, but the children and families I am fortunate enough to serve and provide them learning opportunities that prepare them for careers that do not yet exist. I will end with a story that takes us back a few years. A traveler was making his way through Paris, France when he happened upon a construction site. As he wandered by, he saw a bricklayer toting rocks and carrying them to a pile. The traveler asked the bricklayer, "What are you doing?" "Can't you see? I'm shaping these rocks into bricks and setting them. It's absolutely backbreaking work." As he moved on, he came upon a second bricklayer. The traveler asked this laborer, "What are you doing?" This bricklayer looks up the wall next to him and says, "I'm building this wall that I've been working on for the last year. I'm almost done with it, and then I'll move on to that wall over there." The traveler continues moving through the work site when he sees a third bricklayer. The man asks, "What are you doing?" This mason looks up at the man, smiles, and with a gleam in his eye says, "I'm building a cathedral to the Almighty." The first man had a job, the second a career, and the third a calling. The walls they were constructing would serve as the foundation of the Notre Dame Cathedral. Construction began on the cathedral in 1163 and was not completed until 1345, almost 200 years later. The third man knew he would never see the completion of the project, but saw his work as something bigger than him. He knew that his work would serve the needs of people well beyond his years. The story, along with the following quote by university professor and head scoutmaster Forrest Whitcraft, continues to influence my why. 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, sort of house I lived in, or the type of car I drove, but the world may be different because I was important in the life of a child. No matter the leadership position in which you serve, continually reflect on your why, and most importantly, no matter how much it changes, live your why to make a difference in the lives of others, make it your calling, and live your legacy.